into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It's Testimonial Monday, and our topic for today is Whether I Go or Whether I Stay, I Am Healed. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive F5 with Roland. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, Rizal and I talked about the power of forgiveness and love. You can hear that episode by going over to YouTube and typing in Intellectual Radio and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is coming from Keanu Reeves. And he said, every single struggle in your life has shaped you into the person you are today. Be thankful for the hard times. They came to only make you stronger. I think we all can identify with that. Here are your trending topics for today. Thousands of Tennesseans are displaced or facing prolonged power outages after a series of powerful tornadoes and storms that tore through the state over the weekend, shredding hundreds of homes and killing at least 36 people. The destruction caused by the storms in Tennessee, where at least 2 tornadoes touched down on Saturday, has prompted officials to close some of the schools as well as open the shelters for individuals who are displaced. More than 1,700 homes and businesses were without power today in the state, where early temperatures were below freezing and are expected to remain below 50 degrees throughout the day. In Nashville, a local utility company estimates that it would take a day or two Clarksville area to Montgomery County to Logan County, cutting a path of destruction across both counties, according to the National Weather Service. That is your trending topic for today. We are so grateful for our sponsor. We have Emanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel COGIC-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson. And we're from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Don't forget to show our sponsors some love, visit them on Facebook, as well as join them on Sunday mornings. We are grateful for our guest on today. I have a special guest today, and I'm so excited. She is 28 years old from Flint, Michigan. She is a model, actress, and advocate. She has several activist and aspiring advocate awards, including one from Young, Gifted, and Green, and 40 Under 40 in 2022. She is an amazing aunt, sister, and friend. She continues to use her voice to advocate for other patients. Her favorite quote is from one of her poems that states, "Rather I go or I stay, I'm healed." Please welcome to Warriors Talk, AshleyCae Lee. Hey, AshleyCae.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for saying yes, just being willing to be vulnerable, to share your experience. And I know that your journey is going to prompt individuals to take action on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So Ashley, you wear a lot of hats. And one of the hats that you wear is the hat of an advocate. And before we jump into the advocate role, I want to know, what was your introduction to cancer?
My major introduction to cancer is when I got diagnosed in 2021. So I did do previous advocacy work related to cancer before I got diagnosed, but really I got into it after I got diagnosed because it hit really close to home. where I was able to see firsthand the issues and things that need to be taken care of from like my own point of view.
So there's no history of cancer in your family? Were you the first
No, it's
person?
not like I'm not technically the first person, but there's not like a family history of it either. There isn't nothing where it was like, oh, you got this because, you know, this person in your family has it, like, and it follows a line of people. So that's not how it worked. For me, it was, I've been sick for a long time, and the doctor I got finally was like, okay, I believe what you're saying. And she decided to run all the tests and get things tested for me to come to the conclusion of my diagnosis.
Wow. What was your first thoughts which came first, the breast cancer or the leukemia?
The leukemia, I got diagnosed first.
What was your first thoughts when you heard that? Like in the back of your mind, you know that you had been sick, but you wasn't probably expecting a diagnosis of cancer.
For one, as ignorant as it's gonna sound, I didn't know adults could get leukemia. I thought leukemia was only a childhood disease because that's all you see on TV. So I never knew it was something you can get as an adult. Two, I did kind of think I had some form of cancer because I had started doing my own research on my own symptoms because no one was listening to me. So I thought maybe I had some form of cancer, but it was definitely a surprise that it was leukemia because I didn't know at the time adults could get it.
Now, how old were you when you were first diagnosed?
It was right before my 26th birthday. I got diagnosed in April of 2021, officially diagnosed April 2021.
So here you are, bright, vibrant, ready to tackle life. And then you get hit with this boulder of cancer. You know, at a young age, you're really not thinking, like you said, leukemia, we mostly hear about it. Stop the plans that I have, you know,
Right.
for my life. Being 28, because we do know that cancer, I know in one of your quotes in your bio, you talked about how cancer does not discriminate.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And then when I got diagnosed with the breast cancer in that October, and my birthday's in October, and then breast cancer awareness is in October, and I got diagnosed with it in October, it took me by surprise because statistically, I didn't fit within the age group of statistic where they would get that. So that took me by double surprise because I'm like, okay, not only do I have leukemia, but now I have to battle the breast cancer as well. So it was a big cluster of surprise for me.
How far apart was the breast cancer and leukemia?
April to October, so April, May, June, July,
Wow.
August.
So was it a year?
Yeah, within a year, I got diagnosed with both within a year. And then the following year, I got told I was terminal. So within that time frame, everything was like hit me back to back. And all this is before, like, I turned 27 because my birthday is in October, so I turned 26. Then before my next birthday, I got told I had terminal cancer. And
Wow.
I just turned 28 this year in October. And I was so blessed I got to see this birthday because I didn't think I was going to make it to be 28.
Wow. So not only did you get diagnosed with leukemia, breast cancer, but then they come back and say, oh, guess what? This is a terminal cancer.
Yeah.
All while you're still under the age of 30.
Yes.
Like I said, getting ready to, in the midst of just enjoying your life. I think at that age, we really don't have a care in the world. We just enjoying life and all that it has to offer. And we really are not taking it so serious because we feel like we have time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I was really on the fact of like, oh, I can do it tomorrow. Oh, I can do it next year. And so I put off a lot of things that I always wanted to do because I'm like, I can do them a couple years from now. I'm not in a rush to do. I got diagnosed. I stopped living my life like I have time to do it. I'm like, if I can do it today, I'm going to do it today. So I stopped waiting on, days, months, years to go by before I actually do anything.
That's important because I think we do put off things because we feel like, oh, we have time to do it. And then you get a cancer diagnosis and then all of a sudden it makes you look at life a little different and it makes you appreciate time and people. And just thinking about people, you think about your support system that's around you and how important it is for individuals who are in your life to support you. What was your support system like, and how important is it to have a support system?
My support system now, they are very strong. I would say they really fill in the blanks where I can't, whether it's financially or emotionally or physically. I have a very small group of people, but those small group of people have really been like my rock to my foundation of a lot of things. And I've met new people who have become a big part of my support system because they met me through music, or they met me through my poetry, or they met me through my activism. And so we've all connected on those things. And then they find out I have cancer, and they're like, "How are you doing all this? And you're battling cancer." And I tell them, like, I have to do this because for me, it's if I die tomorrow, I want to know I left some type of impact here. Even if it's one person I touched, I'm hoping I make that impact on somebody.
Yes, that's the one thing about cancer, is that you do meet some people. It seems like your circle gets smaller, but then it's also enriched with people who are going through the same things that you are going through, who can identify with you, who you can call in the middle of the night to say, "Hey, I'm experiencing this. What's going on?" Because they know exactly how you feel. So I think it's important to have both of those support systems to
Yeah.
where you can kind of like go to both of them, because I find it kind of individuals who haven't been through it to be able to identify. Of course, they can give you the love and the support that you need, but you need to have people that has been through it so that I could get through it. It kind of gives you hope, because you
It
look
does.
at them, especially when you see people 10, 20, 30 years out, you're like, wait, okay, that's who I want to talk to right there. Like, what did they do? What happened? You need that because it gives you hope.
It does. And for me, I honestly struggled with reaching out to other people who also suffered from cancer and connecting with them, because for the longest time, I didn't want to directly connect to my cancer. I wanted to have cancer, but then be me and not have them together. And for the longest time, I separated myself from them because I felt like if I start making what I do about cancer, then that's all I'm going to be. I'm just going to be the bald head girl who has cancer, and that's all she talks about. But then I realized that I am. I am the bald head woman who has cancer. That's me. That's who I am now. I am. That's who I am. And there's nothing wrong with that version of myself, because that version of myself is just as important, just as powerful, just as strong as the me I was previously being diagnosed with cancer. It's just now I have different things to talk about. I have different stories to tell, but it doesn't take away from my lack of me being me. And I had to learn that because I struggle with that. And I remember when I first got diagnosed with leukemia, the first person I told was my brother Courtney. And I called him like upset, crying. I was still like in the hospital. And I called and I told him. And the first thing he told me was, he was like, "I want to tell you I love you." He's like, "No matter what happens, I want you to know that I love you." And he's saying, "Whatever it is, we're going to fight it together." And when he told me that, it made me mad, because I'm like, how are you saying we're going to fight together? I'm the one that has cancer. Like, you can't do nothing about it. And I was really, really upset. But when I sit back and I think about it, and I look at all the things he'd been through with me, and the phone calls and the late night me crying, and, the times where I would go months at a time and wouldn't talk to anybody, but he would still be that one person that would check on me. I looked at it as he did help me battle this. He is a part of my battle system because, yeah, maybe he's not physically in my body, but his support really helped hold me down in the times where I really felt like I was going to want to jump off the edge of the earth, because it was just so much to try to cluster and bear at one time. And so I started allowing people in my circle. I started allowing people to support me, because I also had a problem with allowing support, because I always was a support. I always was the rock and the foundation of like my friends and family. I was the one that was the problem solver and the quick to fix everybody's issues. But now I'm in a situation where I can't fix my own. I'm in a situation where I have days I can't feed myself. I have days where I can't get off bed. I have days where I'm so sick, like I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. And I realized, like, I can't do this by myself. This is bigger than me. And so I had to allow them to come in and support me the way they could, in the way they wanted to, without feeling like I'm being a burden, or I was feeling like, I'm holding them back, or I'm causing issues in our friendships, because it wasn't true. A lot of that was just my own build up anxiety about the situation, but I realized like, they were the best support system I could have.
Oh, God, you said a lot in there. It was a lot of gems in there. You talked about just allowing people to come in and help you. And then you mentioned about, you hinted around the shame of a cancer diagnosis and not really wanting to share because you're kind of nervous because people may not identify, or they may judge you, or they may their opinions on you, or tell you, oh, you should do this, use this. If you drink this juice every day, and it'll cure cancer, but they never had cancer and they never saw anybody who drank the juice and was cured from cancer, but they saw it on TV and they want to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I'm having a cancer diagnosis. Sometimes it does bring on this sort of shame because you felt like what people will look at you like, what did you do to deserve this? Like, you must have did something,
I had people tell me that. I've had people tell me like, what did you do so bad? Or I've had people tell me like, oh, it's karma. I've had people tell me, oh, it's karma for something you did. Or I've had people tell me like, oh, it's because you're overweight, that's why you have cancer. And I'm like, that's not how cancer works. My weight is not a factor in me getting cancer. And that was another issue with me getting diagnosed. A lot of the times the doctors I was seeing were contributing my weight to the medical problems I was having when they had nothing to do with each other. And that's a major issue when it comes to just like the way the healthcare system is, because they look at you if you're overweight. They look at you if you're Black, if you're female, and you just get discredit for the symptoms you have. You get discredit for the pain you're in. Oh, it's PMS, take this medicine. Oh, you're overweight, go lose weight. Or, oh, it's like, I'm losing the weight. I tried the medicine you told me to try. I'm still suffering,
And I like how it's inspiring how you were persistent about the symptoms that you were having, and you did not allow them to dismiss you, because a lot of times they do dismiss us, or they'll, oh, you going through that because you're a woman, oh, it's because of this, and they try to put all of these things on you, and then you like, oh, well, maybe it is that. Like, if you're not really in tune with your body, then you may agree with them and go on about your day, and then next thing you know, you may have something worse going on with you when you was telling them, this is what's happening to me.
Very much so. Like, I remember a year before I actually officially got diagnosed was like one of the worst years I ever had. I was battling with depression. I was dealing with like pain. I was dealing with bruising, like just bruising out of nowhere, excess bleeding. Like, I was just having a lot of like problems, migraines. I was having like all these symptoms, and they weren't like nothing added up. And I was going to the ER, and they're running my blood work, and my blood work is coming inconclusive, or my white blood cells are high and red, and they're showing that there's a problem going on with the cells, but instead of them actually sending it to somebody whose job it is to do that, they were like, oh, well, if you lose some weight, maybe it'll help with the pain. Or, I got asked if I was seeking pain medication, like if I was seeking for pain medication. And I have no history of substance abuse. I have no history of any of that. And even if I did, regardless if I did, I'm still human. And if I'm coming here with an issue, it's still your job as a provider to care for me, even if I did have those problems. But I didn't have substance issues. And another thing was, I wasn't even asking for pain medication. I was asking them like to tell me what's wrong. Why am I having these sleepless nights and night sweats, and I'm not in the age for menopause yet? Why am I having this bruising? Why am I having like all these really weird symptoms? Like, I went through almost half a year where I couldn't hold down food. I couldn't eat. Like my stomach, I couldn't hold anything down. I'm like, what is wrong? And I'm going to doctors, and they're, oh, take metformin, take this. Maybe you have diabetes. Never tested me for diabetes. Oh, it's PCOS. Never got tested for PCOS. They're giving me all these labels and throwing all these things at the like tests that the doctors had previously done. And she was like, I don't want to scare you, but I think I know what you have. She was like, I'm gonna send you over to the hematologist, have them, do your blood work and do some biopsies and stuff. She was like, but whatever it is, I'm gonna be sure I get you the best care possible. So when she said that, I started putting two and two together. So I'm like, okay, so it's some type of cancer, something like, okay, maybe breast cancer or like maybe cervical cancer, because I did have like issues with cervical cancers and stuff like previously. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's that. Maybe it's I'm having something going on with that. So when they finally told me I had leukemia, it took me back because I was surprised. It wasn't nothing where I was like, I expected it. And it took a real big blow because I got diagnosed right where COVID was like still high, but going down. Like in 2021, it was still like that weird year, like post-COVID. So like my mom couldn't be there for me in the hospital. So when I had my surgeries done, nobody couldn't be there because the hospitals were still shut down. They wouldn't let visitors. When I would get chemo.
Okay, I think we might have lost her for a minute until she comes back in. Lisa, that's, you know what, I wish we could sue people when they misdiagnose us or put us off.
Yeah, I was still alone for the most part, so it was just really miserable. Like going into it, like that first year was pretty bad.
What do you think, AshleyCae, that individuals can do to be heard and not have to waste a lot of time going back and forth to the doctor? Okay, I think I lost her. So my question is like, what is it that we can do? Because a lot of young people go to the doctor that we know cancer, like we said earlier, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care what type of plans that you have for the future. When cancer strikes, it strikes. So what is it that individuals can do who may be young, who may be going to the doctor and saying, hey, I'm feeling these symptoms, and you're wanting the doctors to come to some conclusion, and then they push it off and say, oh, you're overweight, you're too heavy. Or because you Black, they blame it on diabetes, or they blame it on high blood pressure, and then they're wanting to put you on all of these pills versus getting to the bottom of it. They'll put a Band-Aid on it versus getting to the root cause of what's really going on with you.
Right, yeah, that's the problem. Like they didn't want to get down to the root cause of it. They just want to contribute it to all these other things. And then also I had the gastric bypass surgery when I was 15. So I had weighed over 415 pounds. So I had the surgery done when I was 15. And I was already down 200 plus pounds. So I was already on a path of losing weight. So for them to want to contribute all the things I was dealing with because of my weight was really neglectful of them, because I already was taking care of my weight. I already was seeing a dietitian and had things in play for my weight. So like that was just them being lazy, I feel like.
Yes, I think the time that we're in the doctor's office is really 15 minutes or less. It's like, how can you really diagnose me or tell me something is wrong with me within 15 minutes or less? Like, I feel like we're like an assembly line, like next, and they're consistently just putting a Band-Aid on whatever it is to keep us coming back for more.
Yes, definitely. I think it's a Band-Aid thing, but also I feel like there is for me, I had a racial discrimination. I really feel like because I was Black, what I cared about or what was going on with me wasn't important enough to be dealt with. And I also felt like my voice wasn't as important because I also would get talked over. So I am like kind of more quiet spoken. So part of me, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's because I'm not loud enough. So when I would like my voice, I would keep repeating the same things over and over. I realized it's just because they weren't listening to me. I realized it's just because they felt like because they have a degree or they're a doctor, they feel like they know what's best. They know what's going on. But it's like, I'm living in my body every day. I'm watching my body break down. I'm feeling the pains and aches, and like I'm coming in with unexplained bruising, and I'm like, why? Then they're like, oh, well, maybe it's because you're anemic. Take iron medication. But then I take the iron medication, but they're going to draw my blood. It's like I never even took anything. It's not even coming up in my system. And I'm like, okay, what's that? Oh, we'll take more of it. Take it 4 times a day. I'm taking it 4 times a day. They take my blood. It's still like, it's like it's more going on than just me being anemic. It's more than just, I'm overweight. Like I have other issues. And the more I pressed, it was like the more they would get annoyed. So they would push me off to somebody else in the office, or, they would cancel my appointments and be like, oh, they're not in, like change my appointments and stuff. And when I finally got my doctor I have now, well, she's my primary doctor, she retested me for everything they tested me for. So she retested me for lupus, she retested me for PCOS and all these things that they were trying to diagnose me with. And she exited them off the list.
Wow.
She was like, you don't have that, you don't have that, you don't have that. Which a lot of those things were relief because I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Wow. So what would be your advice to someone young or just anyone who goes to the doctor and they feel like they're not being heard? What are some things they can do or resources that they can turn to that will help them to be heard?
The biggest thing I would tell you, reach out to a patient advocate. They have them in the hospital. A lot of times your doctor's not going to tell you about them. But the patient advocate, their main thing is to help you advocate for yourself. They have the sole interest of the patient. Reach out to a patient advocate. If that doesn't work, or for some reason they won't tell you where that person is or how you can find that person, don't be scared to switch doctors. Don't be scared to be like, okay, this provider is not working for me. We don't have a good connection. Do not be afraid to be like, I have to find somebody new. Because it could be a matter of your life or death. It could be the matter of something being able to get solved quickly, or it's sitting and festering. Like in my case, I sat over a year undiagnosed. And it's no telling what could have been done early on, if anything could have been done early on. So it's just important to speak up for yourself. Also, it's important to know your rights as a patient. You have a right to ask for your files. You have a right to have things written in writing if they deny you a certain test that you think you should get done. You have a right to ask for, who or what looked at what, who drew your blood. You have all those rights to ask for that information because that is your health information. And don't let nobody tell you can't, because you can't. They will try to tell you like, oh no, we can't get this record, or you have to come down here. Go down there and get your records if you have to. Don't be afraid, because those things are going to help you in the long run, because when you go see a new doctor, they may be able to see a pattern in things that your previous doctor either ignored or didn't notice. So it's very, very, very important to do those things.
Yes, that's some great information. Lisa says she has some of those same symptoms until they inquired with another doctor who was actually out of the office that day, and she came in to see her. Wow.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it is. It takes a pair of eyes to look at it, because a lot of the times I found out doctors actually talk among their colleagues because they may not be familiar with the particular thing you have going on. So they speak among each other, and the good doctors are going to come together and be like, okay, well, maybe we don't know, but we're going to send you to somebody who does know. Right. That's what happened with me. My doctor sent me over to the hematologist. He was like, I'm not quite sure. And he sent myself to somebody else. And they were able to come together as a team and come to the conclusion of what was going on. And it was great because instead of him just giving me something random, he was upfront like, I don't know. Like, it's saying this, but you also have this too going on as well. So he was able to like be human enough to be like, hey, I don't know. I'm going to find somebody that does know though.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying you don't know and give me some accurate information. Yes. Hey, Tracy. Lisa said, yes, a patient advocate is awesome, and have someone close to you that does not mind going an extra mile for you.
Yes, that's very, very important. The only reason why I couldn't have anybody with me was because it was during that COVID time. So it was around the time they're like only the patient, no extra people. Like, it was a really, really rough time for me because it got thrown through a loop with the whole COVID stuff. So yeah, it is very important to have somebody with you if you can now. The cancer center where I'm at, they're kind of like iffy. Sometimes they don't mind if you have somebody there. Sometimes they don't. You just have to really be vocal though. Don't give up on if you really feel like you need that person there. They can't deny you. That's another thing. They can't really deny you. So be sure you just speak up for yourself.
Yes, it's important to speak up for yourself. Even if you don't, like you say, you're quiet and you don't want to say anything while you're there, write them down, get the questions to your doctor, email it to your doctor. So when you get there, the doctor can address the questions, because we already know the appointments are really quick. really quick appointments. You guys, I want to take a quick break really quick. I just want to recognize my sponsor on today, which is Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay, and she's catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. You can go to marykay.com/GDOTSON. Please make sure you tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. We are live on Intellectual Radio, and we're talking to AshleyCae, who is not only a model, an actress, and an advocate, but she is here today and she's sharing her journey with us, not only dropping gems for individuals who are going through cancer, but she's telling us to be persistent when you're advocating for yourself. Don't be afraid to change doctors if necessary. It's so important. I want to jump. I'm AshleyCae. Your determination is inspiring. It is. And I just want to know, how do you find strength to continue to advocate despite facing your own health challenges?
The one thing I always is like something I say when I give like my speeches or I'm talking to people. I always say that I hope that what I do, even if it doesn't save my life, that it will save somebody else's life. And I hope that the work and the information I get reaches the right ears, and that it will cause a push for people to see that cancer does not discriminate. It doesn't care how old or young you are. It doesn't care what type of money you have. It will come if it comes. And I just try to leave a mark on the world. Like, it's just really, really important for me to inspire and hopefully touch one person. If I can, one person in the world and push them to be better than they were yesterday, then I feel like I achieved my goal in, my activism, because I don't just do stuff related to cancer. I also do stuff related to like healthcare reform and human rights and things like that. Like, I just really want people to be better than they were yesterday. And that's just my main goal in everything that I advocate for.
Wow. Well, they keep following you and you have no choice but to do that very thing. So I wanted to jump into something I know that's really important to many people that are fighting cancer is, how does the financial aspect of cancer, somebody who's diagnosed with cancer, affect someone who's actively fighting?
Financially, cancer is expensive. Every treatment, every poke pull, every blood draw, every hospital stay is expensive. And if you're somebody like me that has state insurance, a lot of the times insurance doesn't cover everything that you need. So you have medical bills, you have co-pays. And if you're also like me, you can't work a standard 9-to-5 job because your body can't tolerate it. Or for me, like, I don't have a great immune system. So being around a whole bunch of people all the time is just not safe for me. Financially, it's hard. I'm dealing with the issue now where I need certain medications and I just can't afford them this month. I just can't. And it's embarrassing sometimes. I know I had talked to you about this. It feels embarrassing sometimes because to go from being the person that always had, it was able to give to people out my pocket and help people, to go to having to be that person and be like, I need help, was so hard. It's so hard to be like, I need help. It's so hard to be like, I can't afford this. And then it's hard because my mom and my brothers and my circle of friends, they come together and fill in where they can. But even where they fill in where they can, it's still this huge gap. I'm almost $100,000+ in medical debt. I can't afford my medication sometimes, some months. And those are like important medications, like my blood thinners, pain medication, so I'm not in constant pain. I've been in constant pain for 4 days straight now. Like 10, pain on 10 for like 4 days straight. There's nothing I can do because I can't afford the pain medication. It's also a financial issue because it goes into a point of like, okay, well, do I pay my bills or do I get my medication? Do I make sure I'm going to have a roof over my head or do I get my medication? Do I make sure I'm going to eat or do I get my medication? And the battle is hard because I don't know what to do at this point. So I've had to make GoFundMes. I had to, do fundraisers and stuff. And unfortunately, I'm in an area where it's high poverty here already. I live in Flint. So Flint is already a underprivileged area. So it's like the resources here aren't great either. So it's like I'm having to grasp for straws that I can't grab, but I need the help. Otherwise, I'll go months suffering and suffering and suffering. And the only time I'll get pain relief is if I go to my doctor when I go get my chemo and I tell them like, hey, I'm in pain, and they give me Toradol injections. Or, I'll get a morphine drip. If the pain gets that bad, I'll get morphine. Or I'll have to go into the ER. And I hate going into the ER because every time I go in there, they act like they don't know why I'm there. Like, y'all can't see my records to see I have cancer. And I mean, like y'all just, like, I'm not human. So I don't go there because they don't make me feel human. They make me feel like I'm a burden to them. So I would rather sit at home suffering than have to go through the ER. Or now, because the COVID cases are going back up, ERs are booked. I went into the ER the other day to try to get relief from my pain. It was sitting there over half a day and never got seen. So it's stuff like that where I'm like, I need help. And it's hard. And I'm not the only one. Like, I'm in a group with other cancer patients, and they say all the time, like, some days they don't even eat so they can be sure they get their medicines, or so they can get needles, or so they can be sure they have gas in their car to get to their appointments. And that's so disappointing. That's how the healthcare system is, that you have to choose whether or not you're going to eat or get meds. It should not be that way.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I'm going to place your GoFundMe on here. And if God places it on someone's heart to bless her, then do that. If you're not able to bless her, then share the GoFundMe out to someone else. I guarantee you that there's somebody else out there who would do it if you're not able to do it. She just explained how difficult it is to decide if you're going to eat or take your medicine. And we know how important it is to take your medicine. And you shouldn't have to choose. You should just be concentrating on healing and not have to be trying to decide if you're going to eat or if you're going to have a roof over your head versus paying for medicine or paying co-pays.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's hard, especially when they so-called say you have full coverage. But it's like, what are you fully covering?
Exactly.
And then, like, the insurance, too, I learned they can deny you getting certain treatments. They can deny you getting certain surgeries. They can deny you, like, wherever they want to deny, they can literally just deny it and be like, oh, well, this reason because of this. And then the only thing the doctor can do is try to rewrite it and send it back over. But if they deny it, there's nothing you can do about it unless you're going to pay for it out of pocket. And, for instance, like MRIs cost anywhere from $1,200 on up to almost $1,500, depending on what contrast they use and, the dyes and what you got to do, this and that. Like, if you were to pay out of pocket. Now, imagine somebody like me, I get scans done multiple times a month. Imagine having to pay for that out of pocket. Like, it's ridiculous. And, I thought it was just a me problem, before I actually started talking to other patients. And then I'm hearing all these horror stories of, like, people losing their houses and people, losing their cars, or people on the brinks of losing their kids because, they can't afford this and they can't afford that. And I'm like, that is horrible. That is sickening. Like, it shouldn't be that way.
It should not. I was reading something that talked about financial toxicity, and it says it's unique to American. It talks about cancer patients in other countries. They don't experience this side effect when they're going through their cancer diagnosis. It talked about Germany. They limit their out-of-pocket for people who are chronically ill to 1% of their income. And in Norway, the patients are responsible for only $281 out of pocket annually. And
Wow.
I think it's us. And in Canada, the patients, they can go to any primary physicians they want without having to get referrals or co-pays or paying for hospitalizations. It's America. We're so greedy, and they're so greedy, and it's like we should be concentrating on healing, but you can't.
You can't. And the thing my doctor told me too, he was like, part of healing is you have to be in a comfortable, safe, and at peace. You can't heal if you don't have peace. You can't heal if you're not comfortable. You can't heal if you're not safe. But if you're constantly worrying, am I going to lose my house? Am I going to eat? You're not at peace. You don't feel safe. You're definitely not comfortable. So it's like you don't have optimal healing space to even heal properly.
Wow. Tracy says, so selfless, beautiful. Thank you, Tracy, for she's giving you a compliment. I want to talk about in a minute. I want to talk about the Kenya says she truly understands this is crazy, but it's so real because she's been there.
Yeah,
she's been there. It's so disappointing, especially when we have all these big companies out there that is supposed to be there to give financial assistance, but when you call them, they always say they ran out of money. How is that possible?
That happened to me a lot. I can't tell you how many places I've called that said they have money for like cancer patients for like medicine or travel and stuff. And I'll call and they'll tell me, oh, well, we ran out of funds for the year. Or, oh, we can put you on a list. I'm on so many lists, I can't even tell you.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, okay, well, what are you guys all doing? But then also on the other hand, I'm like, there's a lot of cancer people suffering. So it's like, I understand them running out of funds because it's a lot of us, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's a lot of companies out here that's doing a lot of walks and runs. And instead of donating, we have a lot of companies that donate to research. So instead of donating it to research, give it directly to the patients. Go pay off a hospital bill or something like that. You know, that will really make an impact. You know, yes, we want a cure, but there's so much money going towards research. And for that you can allocate those funds for individuals who really need it.
That's very true. I've always said that too. Like the money should go more into individuals and actual like research companies all the time. A lot of times those research companies get government funding as well. So it's like, why not put that funding into the people who are actually like in the mix of the suffering?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. They do get government funding. So if you're locally and you're raising money, you should be giving that money to the local people who are suffering.
Right.
Kenya said, and you're so right about the insurance company. They will deny you. And if you don't have money or the means to do what you need, where does that leave you?
In my case, it leaves me suffering in pain. It leaves me depressed. Like I suffer depression because of it, because I'm in pain so much. It leaves you, and sometimes it leaves you just wondering, like, what is it all worth? What's the purpose of, wanting to keep pushing if when you're trying to go on the avenues they tell you to do to help yourself and you keep getting these doors closed, you're not getting the help you need. It's like, why? What do I do from this point?
Angela said America is the worst when it comes to medical insurance.
Yeah. Horrible.
And then Tracy said, pat in their pockets. We already know Big Pharma is a business.
Oh,
It really is. It seems like instead of healing the folks, it's like they're keeping you sick, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about the Band-Aid effect, putting the Band-Aid on to keep you coming back for more, or having individual races that come in and just because they are Black, or then you telling them, oh, diabetes, oh, high blood pressure, or you overweight, so you need to do this. This is why you experiencing these problems, instead of really listening to us and getting to the bottom of what the issue is, so that we can be well and so that we won't have to keep running to the doctor. Yes, we do have a responsibility ourselves to do what we're supposed to do, but then the doctors also have a responsibility when we come there. We come there for a reason. And like you said, AshleyCae, you said, because they have these degrees and stuff, some of them think that they know more and that they can tell us anything that they want and then we'll be okay with it.
Right. And you're just supposed to be okay with it. Yeah.
Which is sad. Kenya said, keeping you sick is the only way that they're going to generate more and more income.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how they make their money. They make their money off sick people.
It's sad. I want to talk about your sash that you have on, that you were crowned this year, Miss Cancer Warrior.
Yes, I got crowned Miss Cancer Warrior in November. My best friend Kai, me and her took a road trip all the way from Flint, Michigan, all the way to South Carolina, and I was crowned Miss Cancer Warrior. This was such an honor for me because, for one, I always had wanted to do pageants since I was younger, and so when I found out about this pageant, I was like, I had to be there. It was something I really, really wanted to do, but I started getting discouraged because of financial issues. But my sister came through. The women who also competed, like, they rallied around me, really gave me the support and like unconditional I really, really needed. And it was just a wonderful experience. Like, it really made me feel safe. It made me feel seen. And it made me really see like women who are older than me who battled it and beat it. It made me see them and be like, okay, I can be them. It made me feel like, okay, just because my doctor told me it's terminal, he don't have the final say over all of this. Because he's just man. Man don't have final say over all of it. And so it really gave me that boost when I went there. And winning Miss Cancer Warrior was just like the icing on the cake that was already just so beautiful.
Yes, and I saw that big old crown on your head, girl. I was like, yes, it was huge too. You look fabulous. I loved it. I loved it. I want to give for you to give us some information for individuals who can stay connected to you, who can follow you, and all the things that you're doing, and also so they can join in and need help when you pull out that call to action for individuals.
Yes, you guys can follow me. My name is AshleyCae. It's AshleyCae, and then my last name is Lee. My name is like really, really unique. So if you find a name, 10 out of 10 is me. Like, I'm probably the only person in the world. My name is spelled like that. And also you can find me as Dr. Wiseword. Dr. Wiseword is actually my pen name that I write poetry under. So if you look up under both of those, you'll find me and my shiny bald head. And that's where I keep people in the loop of like my modeling stuff, my activism. I actually just had a showcase Saturday where I did poetry and I spit my poems and I really moved the room with my words, which was so cool because I was in a space with rappers and here I am, a poet, and I was still able to like captivate the audience and stuff. So you guys can catch me there. I'm always doing things. My best friend Kai, which she's probably watching, I love her to death, into life again and all the way around. She told me I need to take a break. So I'm probably going to take a break until the beginning of the year because she told me I need to take a break. So I'm probably going to take a break, but I'm still going to be doing my activism work. I'm still going to be creating programs. I'm currently working on some stuff with my local legislation here in Michigan, trying to write some new healthcare reform bills to help people who are battling chronic illnesses keep food on their plates and roofs over their heads and their medications. So I'm in the process of creating some really amazing things. I hope I will be able to see it come into the future. And even if I don't, I have friends and people I know they're going to continue to push it even after I'm gone.
Yes, yes. Can you, first of all, thank you so much for your yes. Thank you so much again, for being vulnerable and coming on and sharing your wisdom, your experience. And I just pray that individuals who hear your journey and all the things that you're doing to advocate for individuals, and that they will take action, join in and help, and also donate to the GoFundMe. But can you give some words of wisdom to an individual? I'm gonna go with the title of the show. Rather I go or I stay, I'm healed.
My words of wisdom will be, just because a doctor gives you a diagnosis, just because you're told you may be terminal, just because you're told you have a chronic illness, proclaim your healing. Because whether you stay or you go, you are healed. You are human. You are light. You are energy. And energy can never be destroyed. So always claim your healing, no matter what man may say. Because man has no say over what your spirit and your body can do. That would be my message to everyone.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Ashley. You guys, please go follow her and all the things that she's doing. Keep it up, inspiring individuals. You are really appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You guys, please don't go anywhere. Coming up right here on Intellectual Radio at 7 o'clock is the People Show with Charles Thomas and Mark Wallace. I will leave you with these words of wisdom. Instead of being ashamed of what you've been through, be proud of what you have overcome. And that's by Dr. Phil. Join me next Monday right here on Intellectual Radio at 6 p.m. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets.